another opportunity again that I come to you to talk about integration again. And I'm doing this because I'm glad that many people are going through the tutorials, and there are many issues that are arising from the integration. So I want to touch on some of them, and in case I not touch on your issue, just feel free to write a comment and I look at it. Or anybody who can do that will just answer you in the comment section. Well, so let's look at various issues. For example, we have the issue about solving the errors that arises while coding. And then you have another issue about this error that M-Pesa controller is not found. And then you have another issue of the although everything is working well, the pop-up is not showing on the phone. And then issue number 4, the pop-up is showing on the phone, you're entering the PIN, but you are not receiving any data on the callback URL, or the data is not being saved in the database. And finally, and this is the most important thing that I want to talk about. So let's say that instead of STK push, where now you show the client the pop-up on the phone so that the client can enter the PIN and you process the payment. What if you just want to display the payment instructions to the clients? For example, we have seen very many people doing that in many websites. So let's say you want just to give clients such instructions like select your pay bill number and enter a business number. So this business number is going to be your pay bill number, and then they enter the account number, and then the amount they want to pay, and then the M-Pesa PIN, and then they confirm. So let's say that instead of doing the pop-up or the STK push, you want to do this, where many people have used this, and this was done was actually mostly done before the STK push. So the STK push came so that the client can be sure with the organization is paying the money and the amount of money that's going to be deducted from the M-Pesa account. So due to that, they had to do a STK push. So when the client knows, because there are issues arising of clients paying wrong pay bill numbers or mistaking in the pay bill numbers. Okay, so let's look at those issues one by one. So issue 1, how do you solve errors that you may encounter in the process of integrating the M-Pesa API, that is C2B? And this applies to all the others, for example, C2B, B2C, and B2B. Well, there are 2 types of errors you might get while doing the integration. These errors, some of them might originate from the application itself, while others can originate from the API. Well, the errors that are originating from the API will be logged on the postman when you are doing the testing, when you are sending the requests. But the errors that are related to the Laravel application, you will find them in the root directory of the application, inside the storage directory, and inside there we have logs, and there you'll get laravel.log files. So what I'm saying is this is the code, and if I open the code, this is the root of my application. So this is the root of my application. So if I just go to storage directory, and inside the logs we have the log file here, laravel.log. So any errors that are related to the Laravel application, like error 500, internal server error, error 404, and all those other errors, they'll be logged on this file unless there's a problem. So when you get an error that is not logged on the Postman while doing the integration while testing, just try to open this file and look for the possible error, that the type of error. Okay, and of course, let's say the error is an M-Pesa controller here. It will tell you even the line of the code that there's an error. So just look at that, and in case you don't know how to solve that problem, you can just ask. You can ask any other person, or you can even ask, or you can even Google it on Stack Overflow, or even ask in the comment section, and somebody will answer, even if it's not me. Well, that is all about how to solve the errors that originate from the application and the API. And so if you followed everything that we did, and your application, you set everything correctly, I don't think you're going to get any error. But if you get it, just of course errors are there, so if you get it, just you can ask, you can Google, and you'll of course get the answer to that error. So let's move to the issue number 2. Some people were getting an error that M-Pesa controller is not found. And I don't know if I made it clear that this tutorial, I did it on Laravel version 7. So before Laravel version 8, this is the way routes are being written, right? So you write, for example, the route, if it is post or get, and then the controller name, and then the method that is going to handle that. Okay, so but some of you are using Laravel version 8, and when you are using version 8, you're going to get if you do this, you are going to get an error. So for you to solve this error, you have to put the exact route to the controller. So you have to do app controllers, I think it is app http controllers, and then the name of your controller. So this is how you have to do it if you are using Laravel 8. So you have to do the full the full path to the controller, right, and the method here. So if you are using Laravel 8, make sure you update your api.php file and web.php file to read, so that you do it like this, instead of the way we are doing it like this in Laravel 7 and below. Well, another issue is the issue where the pop-up is showing on the phone and everything seems to work well. A pop-up is not showing, though everything seems to work well. I'll say that I've also encountered this issue, and somebody told me that it happens on some phones. I don't know if new phones, I really don't know, but it happened to me, though it happens mostly with the sandbox applications or application that you open in the sandbox. But once you go live, everything is going to work well. You'll get the pop-up. I am saying what I really tried, because I also had that problem, but when I went live, I registered a live application. Everything worked well. Alright, so let's move to issue 4. So this issue is where now the pop-up is showing on the screen. You are entering the PIN, but the data is not being saved to the database. Well, when this happens, it means that there is a problem with either your callback URL or the confirmation URL. So because maybe the data is being sent to the callback URL, if you just enter the PIN correctly and receive the message that you paid, the problem is that M-Pesa will always send you the data on the callback URL. Okay, and the confirmation URL, it will always send the data there. So if you set the wrong confirmation URL, you will not receive that data. Or if you made any error in the controller, in the confirmation, the method that works on the confirmation URL, you are going to receive an error in the log file that I showed you, that is laravel.log file. If there is no error and there's no error in that file and you are not receiving any kind of error from Safaricom also, but the data can't be saved to the database, you need to check the confirmation URL method, and you have to check that URL to make sure that it is working. So how do you check it? So let's say that you are not getting that data be saved into the database. So one thing you have to do is to maybe run your application, and then after running your application you can test that route. So for example, you can you can just set that application on Postman or any REST application, any other that you are using. Right now I'm using this, it's called RESTman, that is a plugin, a Chrome plugin, and try sending that data to that URL. So for example, this is the data that comes after paying. This is the data that will come to the confirmation URL. So just take this data and try sending it. Just try sending it like that, and you find that you have the connection error. So meaning that that application is not working. You have to start it. So you can just move to the application directory and just do PHP artisan serve. So after running the serve again, let me now try sending the data again. And it is saying the status is okay. And if we check the database, we find that that data is saved. So that means that that URL is working correctly. So if it were not working, you get an error here. Just try using the hard-coded data to send that data to that URL and confirm if it is working or not. So if it is not working, of course, when the request will come, it will not be able to save that data. So for example, if I go and check the database and then M-Pesa transactions, you find that you have that one saved. That's the one that I've sent here. So that is how to check the confirmation URL to make sure that confirmation URL is working, because it is on that URL that the data will be sent from Safaricom, from M-Pesa, I mean. So this last issue is the most important, and it is the one that made me to do this video, because somebody asked this question, Let's say that you don't want to do the STK push, right? Because the STK push just you have the phone number and you just create the form and then the amount the user wants to pay. Then you will pop up the STK push will pop up the payment screen on the user's phone. But what if you don't want to do the STK push? You just want to give the user instructions. For example, very many applications are doing that. The ones that are using online, for example, they give such instructions. They just give you the business number, which is the pay bill, and then the account number, and then they give you such instructions. So in this case, how do you go about it? How do you go about it? So if your customers, you've just given them instructions, the business number, the account number, and you want that every time they pay, you process that information and maybe do something like thanking them or sending them a message about the payment has been successful, or update the user details. How do you do that? So let's look at that. Now, if you go to in this case, let me explain something. When you are registering URLs, you register three. You register validation URL, and actually you register confirmation URL. There are two: confirmation URL and validation URL. So those are the URLs that usually register. You usually register. So after registering this URL, this confirmation URL is where the data will come after Safaricom has authenticated the payment. Okay. So when the customer enters the correct PIN or uses those instructions to pay and clicks on and authenticates or does whatever is in those instructions, Safaricom will first send that request to validation URL to be validated. That is, if you are using the pay bill number. And after that, it will now send that information to the confirmation URL. If you are using till number, it is not, I think it is not sent to validation. It is just sent directly to confirmation URL. So this tells you that whether a user uses the STK push or uses these instructions, is doing the payment. And once this payment goes through, the data must be sent, and this data will be sent to the confirmation URL. So in this case, it is even easier. We don't need all the other functions that we had, like STK push, the function, and M-Pesa and token. No, we don't need those. What we need, we just need maybe the validation method, and then we just need M-Pesa validation method and confirmation. And I think even without this validation stuff, it will just work. So meaning that you just need the confirmation here. Okay. So the only thing you'll need to write is the confirmation URL. Make sure that the confirmation URL is well set and it is receiving data and is able to save that data to the database. So set the confirmation URL, and then on the function or the method that's going to handle that, you write this one because it is going to receive that data. So just write this one, and you make sure that you have that database, that table set in the database. Okay, and that will be it. So every time the user will be paying, the information will be coming to this confirmation URL, and this is how we set the confirm. So it will be coming to this confirmation URL depending on how you set it. confirmation URL. And then when it comes to this, we call this method to handle that information. And this method is here. This is what it does. It first gets that JSON information. That information, it decodes it, and then it gets these, and then after getting those, it saves that to the M-Pesa transactions table. And then after that, you can either return, respond, or you can just do your stuff. And then, so let's say that after now these are paid, because what this is going to do is that it is going to save the transaction details to the database. So the details that are going to be saved are the details that will come in that request, which are transaction type, transaction ID, transaction time, transaction amount, business shortcode, business reference number, and then this account number, and then you have the organization balance. That is the balance, that is the current balance in that business account. And then you have third party. All these details, they are the ones that will be saved. Now, of course, you said that after someone paying, you want to do something. Let's say that you want to do it this way. Once somebody pays, you want to send that person a message. So what do? So in Laravel, we have observers, right? We have observers, and it's a very great feature in Laravel. So what you do is that you create a new observer. Okay. After creating a new observer, this observer is going to observe this model. That model is an M-Pesa transaction. Going to observe this model. Okay. It's going to observe this model. So it is going to observe the events. For example, the create event, that is when a new record is created, updated, deleted, I think stuff like that. So you will you write your code on created event, and in that created event, once somebody pays, a new transaction will be created. So whatever you want to do in that new transaction, you just take that information, and then you can do whatever. You can take phone number, and then using the whatever API you are using, you send that user. You can send email, you can send a message. Okay, so that will be real time. The user pays, transaction is created. Observer takes that, and then you write the function of sending either email, or you can send also the message, and that will be it. It will be automated like that. So maybe if there's anywhere you don't understand, let me just know, or if maybe what I'm saying is like French, like maybe when I talk about observers, like I think they are a bit advanced features of Laravel, but they are not that hard to understand. So in case maybe you don't understand what I'm saying, you can just clarify in the comment section, and I'm going to do the practical video of how to do that. So thank you so much. I hope most of the issues have been solved, and in case yours is still there, you can either contact me on my phone number, or you can just maybe post in the comment section and somebody will help you, or if I say I also help you. Thank you so much, and I just ask you that if you have not subscribed to my channel, You can subscribe, like, and share. I appreciate that. So thank you so much.